Hello and welcome to MS-4004. My name is Lockie and I'm here to take you through how Copilot can help you in your workday. Now, before we begin, a little bit about myself. I'm based in Canberra in Australia and I am a Microsoft technical trainer. I help clients in high compliance scenarios get skilled up in a whole range of different areas. But my specialty is in multi-cloud and also hybrid cloud. That means I've done a lot of work with clients with documents all over the place. And using Copilot as an impetus to kind of bring things together and make the best use of all of the document libraries you have, the databases you build, it's kind of been my modus operandi the last few years here. So, what am I here to take you through? Well, with the lens of high compliance, I do a lot of work about how Copilot actually works under the hood. It's important to understand what it's doing. And my goal is for you to have a good understanding of how it actually works, not how we say it works or how it's said it works in the sales material, how you can actively use it in your workday, and how it works best for you in your specific scenario. So, without further ado, let's begin and start talking Copilot. Now, specifically, we are here today to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. There are many Copilots in the Microsoft ecosystem, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is the one that is designed to work with all of the components of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 more broadly. So I think before we begin, it's good to get a little bit of a level set. Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't, and what it's being built upon. So, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is the main child of what we're going to be talking about today. It's the main topic of our course and the main thing that we are focused on. But there are many Copilots, as I said. The Copilot for Word works differently to the Copilot for Excel, the Copilot for Outlook, Teams, Loop, and the rest of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem broadly. Each individual Copilot has its own set of special skills and is designed to work in a specific way. We call these two different types of experiences either standalone or embedded. The standalone experience for Copilot for Microsoft 365 is what you'll get at office.com or over in the Copilot app on your machine. Additionally, Teams actually makes use of the standalone version of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and it uses this to be able to reach out to Teams messages, look at calendar invites, and be able to bring in broader context about how Office works on the day-to-day. When we use an embedded experience, we use those in-app. And many of my demonstrations are going to focus on that in-app experience. This is where we focus in on some specific skill set. When we use Copilot in Excel, it's great at coming up with new formulas. When we use it in Outlook, it's designed for drafting emails and being able to coach us into, well, writing the right thing. When we're using it in Word, it's about recreating a document, redrafting, coming up with new suggestions, and looking for new improvements within that behavior. Each Copilot has a specific set of skills, and we look to utilize those whenever we can. But I keep using this word Copilot, and I think it's nice to just have a little bit of a background about what a Copilot actually is. Like, what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? We know what it's going to do for us, and I'll give plenty of demonstrations about how it's going to work for you. But under the hood, it's really three separate components. The first is an LLM, or a large language model. There are many different companies out there coming up with large language models. LLMs are designed to reach out to large data sets of information and be able to find patterns in how human language is written, and a little bit of how human language is spoken as well. We use this to be able to find easy, predictable pathways. So when we say, I have a pet, what's the next word? It could be dog, it could be cat, it could be bird, but there is a pathway that we can follow, and we know what the most likely response is going to be based on the data that we originally feed in. Now, critically, LLMs are packaged and static. Your information is not used to retrain or improve an LLM. These are things that we utilize and that we update over time, but these are generally provided by an external company. Whilst we as Microsoft do make various large language models and small language models ourselves, our research team is very skilled in that area. OpenAI is the main basis for many of the different packages that we use in the LLM space. Now, away from the technical jargon, what are we adding in when you go for a Copilot? The first thing is the protections and guardrails that you come to expect with a Microsoft system. These are things that do evolve and improve over time. We use this to ensure that when you use a Copilot, it responds in an appropriate manner. It behaves in a way that makes sense for an enterprise. You want something that you're going to use at work to feel like a tool you should be using at work. So we leverage the different pieces of our ecosystem, the different APIs we already have access to, and the great skill we already have in terms of filtering language, in terms of making sure that it is fair and responsible in its responses, and ensuring that it is grounded in a level of reality and accuracy. And the last critical piece, the thing that makes Copilot for Microsoft 365 something different, is the graph. Now, what the graph is a reach out API where we can hit an endpoint, a point in your environment that says, what's on your calendar? What's in your Outlook? What's on Teams? This is the thing that allows us to feed in all of the baseline components of the LLM, packaged with those protections, and then we add on the content you provide from your Microsoft 365 environment. So, baseline package wrapped with all the protections and guardrails you need to be enterprise ready, and then you bring the content, the thing that makes it personalized to you specifically. That is what a Copilot is, and that is what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is when you actually use it on the day-to-day. The Copilot system is designed to be able to give you a simple, trusted place to be able to do your work. We use these LLMs in combination with the graph in order to give you that proper, seamless integration across that Office 365 suite. And additionally, you can expect that there is going to be contextually aware responses. So that is the baseline of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is and what it's going to provide for you. There is a critical thing that you do need to know about this work version of Copilot. It is license-based. So you do need to ensure that you have the correct license in your environment and that it has been enabled in your environment today. Copilot is not on by default. It is something that an organization needs to enable. Of course, right now, for non-work use, you have access to a Copilot. Over on Bing, there is a Copilot available for general use and for great web queries. But it's not designed with enterprise protections in mind. It's designed for general search terms and general use cases. If you are looking to integrate with Microsoft 365, pulling your emails and all of the things you expect out of a work environment, that's where we're going to require a license. So if you don't have access to it today, there's a couple of things that need to happen in the back end there, and that might be why. Now, let's talk about what Microsoft 365 Copilot does for you specifically. The three things you see on here: understanding context and user need, transforming how you work, and giving yourself a whole bunch of key capabilities. These effectively show what a base Copilot is able to normally do. The understanding of context, that's based on the graph. The more we can pull in from there, the better we are able to work with the data you provide. Transform how you work, large language models, and the secondary piece of that, a natural language processor, means that we can take the questions you ask, run them through an algorithm, and then the LLM can process them and give an output that feels right. It feels like you're talking to someone, like you have an assistant or a Copilot on the side. And of course, the last thing is that baseline LLMs have many key capabilities that we are leveraging. The ability to rewrite, to analyze, to find different components, whilst also ensuring that you are, well, secure. You have access to the things you should have access to and no more. It's critical to ensure that we're managing all three of those pieces. This right here is the logical architecture of how a Copilot actually fits together. And I like to leave this one in just as a way of giving you one last set of how the graph actually functions. Just remember that a Copilot alone, the thing that we see at this point, that Microsoft 365 Copilot out of the box, it does great work, but doesn't know you. The graph, the thing that means that if it is something you can't see, Copilot can't see it. If it's something that you are able to pull, Copilot can pull it. We use your permissions. So if Copilot can see it, you can see it. That is a really important part of how we have designed this. It should work out of the box with all of the various permissions you already expect. So always keep that in mind. Now, there's one last piece of this that I haven't actually defined properly yet. We talked about LLMs already, those pre-packaged components, and we've talked about Microsoft 365 apps. But I only really quickly went through what a natural language processing component is. One of the key things to remember with large language models, the thing that Copilot's based on, is that they don't really understand anything. It'll feel like it. They're extremely good at being able to predict what they need to say next to be accurate and say the right thing. But natural language processing is the actual thing that allows you to talk to a Copilot. It takes your language that you speak. English is the easiest example that I can think of for what we tend to talk about here. I have a dog. That will get translated into 1, 2, 3, 4, a series of numbers that represent the words we're saying. Then all we need within the large language model is to find the pattern of those numbers within it. And then at the end, we need to then run it in reverse. We need to take the output of numbers we have and be able to feed them back into normal language. It's the 1-2, going from things you say in the way you like to say them, bringing them down, running them through an algorithm, and then outputting them back out. When you look at what it's actually doing under the hood, you'll be astonished at just how good Copilot is at being able to pick up what you need and how you need to access that info. Always remember, because of the way that the graph works, it is always based on a compliance-first opinion. If you cannot see it, Copilot cannot see it either. I know I've emphasized that already, but it's super important to say. What this does mean is that if you find that Copilot can see something that's unexpected, let your organization know. It means that you've been able to see it this whole time, and we need to get that fixed. This is an important piece of Copilot. It reaches out to all of the graph that is available. So if it is able to return something, you've always been able to see it there. Let people know if you ever see something that's not right. The last big piece I want to emphasize here, before I just show you a little bit of Copilot, is I want to talk to our responsible AI. Microsoft has, for a very long time, had a key set of responsible AI principles, and we adhere to them at all times. Responsible AI principles and practices around compliance with various government organizations and government bodies, making sure that we are using this in a way that makes sense and ensuring that you have access to the tools in a safe manner. This is our core goal. The AI tools that we have should be trustworthy. That is a key component of it. And we want to make sure that you are able to feel that these tools are trustworthy, that you can use them in the way that you expect and you can trust their output. Additionally, you should be able to be empowered to use these AI tools responsibly. We make sure that there are guardrails in place so you can use them and fall into the right space to ensure privacy and security is paramount. So always keep this in mind. We have responsible AI principles. We use this to define how these AI tools are actually designed. We recommend that you follow those principles too. Feel free to take a look at the responsible AI principles over on learn.microsoft.com. We publish them out publicly and we're proud of them. All right, next we're going to go across and we're going to take a look at how Copilot works. And I'm going to show you just a few quick tours of some simple prompts that we can run to see how things work in our environment. Okay, so welcome to Copilot. This is available over at office.com, but as I mentioned, there's many different ways you can reach Microsoft 365 Copilot. Here on my main screen, I am currently in work mode. At the top of the screen, you'll see work and web. Work means that we are in your enterprise environment. We're going to use internal documentation and things that you have access to in your SharePoints, OneDrives, and also in any Teams, Outlook messages, etc. Straight away, we can see easy examples of some potential prompts that we can use for Copilot, such as, I've got a daily stand-up. Maybe I need some help preparing for that. Gabriel Woods has been contacting me. What about the latest messages from them? These are far from the only prompts that you're able to do with Copilot. The world's your oyster. Use your imagination and think about the ways that Copilot can work with you. It's using a natural language processing system, which means talk to it in a natural way. Use slang, use terms, but always be nice. Just like a person, Copilot responds better when you are kind to it and when you do say please and thank you. I know, but it does make a big difference. On this screen, there's a couple of important things that we need to know. First, the shield up the top. Anytime you see this shield, you know that your enterprise data is going to be protected. But the way this reflects is slightly different depending on what we're looking at. In the work mode, it means we're going to bring in your enterprise data. In the web mode, it means we're going to exclude it. So you've always got a guarantee that when you're using Copilot at work, whether you are using the web mode for general public chat or using the work mode for internal documentation, as well as potentially content from the web, we're able to make sure that your data is protected. You will see my little chat history coming on there as well. The chat history is always available in a little panel window on the right-hand side. Additionally, in the three dots at the top here, you'll see there's a little web content button. Sometimes it's good to flick that web content off, and so we don't pull in things from the web and we keep things purely internal. It's your call, but it's a nice little thing to work with. Now, what we're going to do is just a pretty simple prompt here. I have a daily stand-up coming. It's pulled in my calendar invite and it's got some information. Help me prepare for the project widget daily stand-up. Copilot is now running that prompt live. It gives me details about what's actually going in. We've got some additional components from external sources. This has pulled in some emails from my inbox there. It's also got the details in the agenda from the meeting itself and even who organized it. This sort of quick overview is perfect for what Copilot is great for. We see references to each of the things that it needs to reach out to. So if you need to pull in some extra data or get some extra context, you've got it straight away. And you've even got some follow-ups here. Drafting my update will give me a little bit of summary context on those extra emails. It's very easy and it's designed to be simple to pull in extra information from these other sources. So think about how you can use Copilot in your day. Now, this is the standalone experience. Beyond this, there is, of course, all of those embedded experiences. A quick tour of some of them. This is the embedded experience in Word. You have the ability to draft new documents with Copilot, as well as using it as a rewriting and coaching tool. Either way works well for us. Whatever works well for you is the way to use it. Within Word, there is also the side panel. And the side panel is great for asking general questions. If you need to ask a question about other documents, to pull some components in, or even link in external files, that's where you're able to do that and be able to create new content from other sources. In Outlook, there's two primary skills that we've worked with. The ability to summarize email threads, number one, very important. When I get a lot of emails overnight, I want to know what's actually going on and why I got so many. A quick summary of a thread can help you get up to speed fast and works brilliantly every time. The drafting of emails, It's a longer kind of process there. Maybe you want to change the tone. Maybe you've got the core points that you want to say, but you need to find a way to put it all together, get the context right. You can use the drafting capabilities to find that right wording, change the length, change the tone, even make it into a poem if you want to. If you're using Teams, two main ways we can use it. The Microsoft 365 chat is available, so you can use Microsoft 365 Copilot's full feature set, reaching out to multiple sources and getting context. Or you can keep it contained to a single chat thread. Both are useful in different ways. The chat thread feature is great if you're trying to work out what that action item needs to be from a long set of history, or with lots of back and forth in an asynchronous world, just what actually matters to me. What do I need to be doing here? This is far from the full set, but always remember that work web switch. If at any time you want to remove the work context and only pull from the web, ask general questions. What is an LLM? How does this work? Tell me about this animal. The sort of things that the kiddos like to look up as well. Always use that web mode. The web mode also has a nice little feature on the side, the ability to go through and change the conversation style. Different conversation styles give you different responses. A creative response is going to go far off the beaten path, whereas a precise response is going to focus on the facts and figures. Take your pick. Within the Copilot for Microsoft 365, we focus more on the precise above all else. Accuracy is key when in an enterprise environment, so that's the key focus for us. Now, the big thing to remember is that Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365, it doesn't end with just the Copilot chat itself. AI itself and working with AI tools, it's both art and science together. Yes, there is definitely a lot of creativity and you have full freedom to use these tools however fits you. Truly, I want you to experiment and iterate. That is how you get better at these tools, and the better you get at using the tools, the better the responses. The better the responses, the better you're going to use them, and so on and so forth. It's a positive feedback loop, and it's brilliant. AI is designed to not give the same answer twice. Well, sometimes it can, but it follows whatever path makes the most sense based on what you've said. Change up your wording. Sometimes AI is what's known as usefully wrong. I know, but if you're looking for a creative thing or trying to come up with ideas, it's going to try and look for different pathways to follow each time. This means that we get different prompts, different thoughts, different ways of drafting or other areas to improve every time we ask. Use your different AI skill sets and use this as an experimentation. Don't treat it as a one and done, always the same. Use it as a conversational tool and a conversational partner to experiment and to test ideas with. Now, there is a number of clear best practices. You don't have to follow these, but following them will get you a better response, guaranteed, with any large language model. So, of course, well applies to Microsoft 365 Copilot. First, be clear and be concise. Don't waffle on if you can avoid it. Try and keep your wording clear, try and keep it short, but don't leave things out. Always ensure that you are providing feedback if things are wrong. Ensure you add extra context if it's needed. Just try and keep it to whatever the minimum would be. Just like us, Copilot works best when it's a short phrase or short emails. But also like us, it needs all the context there. So make sure you provide it all together. The next and important thing is that you should trust what Copilot says, but at all times, verify. AI and large language model tools, they have great pattern matching skills and are extremely accurate. But there is a reason we have the disclosure that AI tools are sometimes incorrect. It's pattern matching. It's not a human with the understanding there. And just like someone who doesn't have all the context or maybe doesn't know the whole scenario where you're rubber ducking a question off, we want to ensure that we're checking their work. Make sure you check the responses from Copilot for accuracy, especially when you're dealing with very specific numbers. Additionally, Copilot's not actually designed as a replacement tool, so don't use it for everything. It's not skilled in every area, and it's not supposed to be. It's got specific skill sets to help supplement your workday and make you better at what you do. It's an extension, not a replacement, so don't over rely on it. Also, make sure that you just are creative with it. Do fun stuff, test things out, push the limits. Copilot is a tool that lets you unlock your creativity. And that is sometimes in the most menial of forms, but using it to extend out words that you find to struggle to get on a page, or just finding the right way to say that message. It's always a different way of using it, but focus in on being creative with it and using it in the way that makes you feel good. And the last two are important for us. Stay updated. We're always improving Copilot and adding in new protections and new skills, and ensure that you're prioritizing privacy and security. Those go hand in hand. New skills lead to new ways of using Copilot. New ways of using Copilot lead to new areas that you might not expect. So always be understanding and be cautious when you're working with sensitive data. Copilot will work with your sensitivity labels and all of the things we expect, but you still need to be careful and still need to be cautious. So always be thinking at the forefront, how am I prioritizing privacy and security while still getting the most out of the tool? Now, when you are building a prompt, what you are looking at here is the most effective way that you can write a prompt. Again, you don't have to follow it, but a best practice gets you best results. Always give Copilot a goal. In this case, I want 3 to 5 bullet points. Context, it's for an upcoming meeting with a client. That's going to change language, tone. It's going to change a lot about what we are responding. Give the expectations, a tone that is friendly but authoritative. That's important. We're changing how Copilot's going to say things, and that's going to change a lot about the different ways we put it together. And of course, your source. If you only want Teams messages, if you only want emails, only provide those. This goes for all different types of prompts as well. As much as the examples here are focused on Teams and email messages, if you are drafting a document, you're thinking about summarization, you're creating a presentation, whatever it is, think about the ways in which you can effectively prompt your environment. We have some great guidance on effective prompts over on learn.microsoft.com. So if you're looking for more information or deeper dives into what makes an effective prompt, go check it out. Last of all, in the best practices, there are also a few simple don'ts. Always be clear and concise. Don't be vague. When you're vague, Copilot will respond in unpredictable ways, just like a person would actually. If you don't give them the details, they're not going to quite know what to say. So they might do something that's unpredictable. Focus on if-then conditionals. If it doesn't work here, go do that. If you don't find this, go do this instead. Get creative. Use analogies. I use slang all the time, and it works great. If you can't quite find the word, use the one you've got at hand. Think about it and just talk to it in the way that makes most sense for you. One that's a really nice hidden feature of the way that LLMs work, great at role playing. If you need to put it in the shoes of a client or put it in the shoes of a manager, tell it it's a manager. That's its job now. And it will go through and it will play that part. It can be really good for testing out stressful scenarios or really just trying to work out what sort of questions someone might ask in the room. And the last important one, you don't have to put it all in one prompt. It can be a conversation. We call them chats. And this chat back and forth can be a series of different prompts. Each chat is a totally new context. So bring in the information you need and then ask for the details of it all together. Summarize the context, summarize the content, and bring all the parts in before you go through and do that. Last of all, you know that Copilot's not going to be good at everything because it's not supposed to be. It is a skilled tool. It's a scalpel, not a hammer. If you have a repetitive task, that is great for it. If you've got clear tasks with repeatable pieces, that is what it is good at. If it's something that's ambiguous and requires interpretation and is hard to work out, that's something that Copilot can assist with, but it needs you to make that last bit of the difference there. Be clear, Say please, be polite, be curious and ask preliminary questions, and iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. This is the most important part of getting good at using Copilot. So provide feedback to it. Say, that's not what I was expecting. I want it more like this. Give it samples, give different pieces of information. Do what you can to try and find the right sort of response. Beyond this as well, if there's something else you need to bring into Copilot, your organization can actually extend it into external tools. We support a whole range of ERP and CRM applications to be able to pull in document stores, wikis, blogs, you name it. If it can integrate with the graph already, we can integrate it with Copilot. So if you're looking for a way to extend this out, there's many different options you have available. All right, now that we've gone through the basics, I think it's time to work out what Copilot can do for you. Let's dive in, and I'm going to show you some options on how Copilot works for your specific environment. Finance professionals require precision and efficiency, which Microsoft 365 Copilot offers. Whether analyzing data, automating reports, or collaborating, Copilot enhances your daily tasks. It's integrated across Excel, Outlook, Word, Teams, and it streamlines workflows and accelerates your data-driven decisions. From budgeting to forecasting, trend analysis to report generation, Copilot frees you to focus on strategic outcomes. Here, we're going to look at some practical use cases to help you maximize your use of Microsoft 365 Copilot across your finance environment. Let's get started. Now, we're going to begin somewhere pretty fundamental. Let's draft an email. Here I have Outlook, already got it stood up, so let's jump in and create a new mail message. And we're going to start from absolutely nothing. We'll hit new mail. I'm just going to pop this out into a new tab. Just give me 2 ticks here. Pop him out and bring it back over here. And then we'll be able to see it nice and big. All right, now for this, I'm going to play the part of a CFO. Now, what we're going to be concerned about is that our insurance carrier is lifting our premiums, and I want to have a quick chat to them about that. So let's get something started and use Copilot to begin writing out our email. So I am the CFO of Northwind Traders, and I would like to draft an email to our insurance carrier, Humongous Insurance, expressing my concern. Now we've got some specific things that we're interested in here. We're interested in our liability insurance specifically. So we'll let Copilot know that that's what we're interested in. It's the coming financial year that we're interested in specifically because that is where we're seeing the concern. And I know that I need a meeting as well. So let's get Copilot to find a way to weave the meeting request into the request overall. All right, so upcoming FY, request an urgent meeting with their team. Okay, and we'll get those last bits in. Discuss the proposed increases and explore alternative options. Now you don't need to get all of your wording right. Copilot's pretty good at picking up the bits in the middle, but if you do see something that's a little bit off or maybe could be less vague, go back and change it. I'll change there to Humongous Insurance, just so Copilot knows who I'm talking about when I say that. I think that's close enough. Quick tidy up, and even with a couple of misspellings, I reckon we're still pretty good to go. So let's kick this off and get Copilot to start drafting out the email. All right, we've got our first cut. Dear insurance team, I hope this finds you well. Writing to express my concern, request an urgent meeting. I don't know, the tone's not quite right, is it? There isn't a level of urgency to this in the same way that I would usually want. What we can do is actually scroll on down to the change tone option, and we can use this to, well, just simply make it more direct. This is a big concern. I want this to be forceful in the way that it says things, but still professional. Urgent meeting with the team, let us know the earliest availability. I think really it's the length that's actually the issue here. Okay, not quite that short though. Use Copilot to rewrite the different pieces here. Make it longer, make it shorter, change the tone. Make it sound more direct, whatever you need to do to make it feel right for the response you're giving. Okay, I'm seeing significant concern, urgent meeting. This is emphasizing what we need a little bit better. Now, I'm happy with that, so I've hit keep. Note that the blue went away. When we did that, it meant that we are moving out of our general drafting mode and are now into rewrite mode. So what I'm going to do next is open up the Coaching tab. Coaching is a feature of Outlook Copilot specifically, and it is going to look through your email to find areas of improvement. Now we've got 3 specific areas that it said we could find some improvement. The first is in tone. About professionalism could do with some work. That's something I hear a lot. Next, we've got a little bit of sentiment. We need to make sure that they know that this is a long-term relationship, and also that we should probably specify the meeting details rather than asking them to set the bounds. Make it and so if it is actually urgent, we get a response quickly. Now, I can either go through and try and find the individual areas. It has actually given me the wording, so I can do a quick search to see if there's something I could rewrite there, or I can actually just hit apply all suggestions and it will make the changes for me. Note that it doesn't immediately insert though. It goes in down the bottom and I can insert it below, or I can just replace the wording. But watch what happens next. I'm going to rerun coaching, and it's going to dynamically reanalyze this content again. New context, new wording means new areas of improvement across tone, reader sentiment, and clarity. Now we're getting really into the nitty-gritty here. Things like showing appreciation effectively, changing our wording to be a little bit closer to what we might be looking for. We're changing some of our wording here, and we can just apply those suggestions again. You can continue to iterate and iterate here until you're really happy with the wording and exactly got what you need to say straight onto the page. Next, I want to head across to Excel and show you how Copilot can help you there to be able to analyze data quickly. Now in front of us, we have the Q1 marketing campaign results. There's a lot of info here. It's not as well structured as I would usually go for, but that's okay. Copilot's going to help us find the insights quickly. Now, there's 2 different ways we can get insights. Individually, this is based on the cells that we have selected. Copilot's available inline. I want to go across to the side pane though. This is where we can ask for broader analysis and then insert it back into our Excel workbook once we've confirmed we've found what we need. Rather than going with an inbuilt thing, I'm actually going to do something that I struggle with normally. Let's create a pivot table. I want to make a pivot table to analyze the total revenue generated by each of the various campaign types we see here. When I hit go on this, it's going to do exactly as I ask. Start generating that content out, and then once it's done, and we can see it's analyzed in the right area, so that's beautiful, we've now got our results. Now this is great if all you need is a quick piece of analysis, but typically we want more than just the description. We want to be able to take this into a workbook and actually continue to work on it. So hitting add to sheet brings it across to sheet 2. Now there's something important that just happened. Now that we're in sheet 2, you may note that down in the bottom right hand corner there's a go back to data button. Copilot always undertakes context of whatever's in front of it. So if you need to reanalyze this information, make sure you go back to the initial sheet. Now I'm going to show you a trick here. I'm going to say in sheet 2, we created a pivot table to analyze the total revenue generated by each of the different campaign types. I want to now create a chart to visualize this data. Now by calling out sheet 2 in that way, it uses the context from that with the data in front of it to be able to, well, match your request. This gives us a chart to visualize the information that we instead see on sheet 2 based on the data that we see at its source. Little tricks like that can help you just get better with getting your Copilot experience going. Now, there's already some inbuilt prompts that we can continue to use if we want to start analyzing further on this. But maybe we just go in a different direction. What about return on investment? Let's see if we can get that information for each of the campaigns here. All right, we're analyzing the data again. Let's see what the ROI for each of the campaigns looks like. All right, here's a formula. Ah, beautiful. Now it's a fairly straightforward formula, but you will find with more complex Excel formulas, you'll actually sometimes see a button that says Show Explanation. This will go through and give you the details about what this formula is actually doing under the hood. This one's pretty straightforward though, so we can use this if we want to actually put this in. Let's see if we can get Copilot to insert this into our table. Can you insert this as a new column in the table? Sometimes it doesn't hurt to ask. It's generating the formula column suggestions for A1 to H13, and let's see what it comes up with. Now that's interesting. What it's done is actually come up with a new suggestion here. Sometimes Copilot will behave in slightly unexpected ways. It's designed to be creative and designed to give you lots of different outputs quickly. But that's why it's so clear with what it actually pulls through. So let's ask it one more time. Very clearly, give us the ROI for each campaign and then insert that as a new column. By being explicit with Copilot, we can be sure that it is going to follow our instructions more clearly. And surprise, surprise, exactly what we were looking for. It's in fact given us a slightly more complex formula as well that's going to be a little more robust in case there's any zeros that we see along the way. Inserted straight to column I, there's our return on investment as a percentage. All right, now from here, we can continue to ask questions. So let's add some additional data. Now, I think I want to add this to the table. Can we add a column that goes through and talks to maybe something about effectiveness? So the ROI for each campaign type, and also maybe we'll go something like display a graph. So combine that. Now this is actually getting a bit confusing. The prompt itself is getting a little long, so maybe let's drop some of this out here. We don't need to put this in the table. All I'm interested is I want to get the ROI from each campaign type and then show a graph. Focus on simple, focus on straightforward, and let's just put it in a new sheet for now. We can always look to reintegrate it later if we find a good insight. So, reanalysis again. It'll go through, create the data. There's the chart that we were expecting. Beautiful. Created a new sheet showing the ROI. Would you like to insert that to a sheet? Done. Hit the button, bring it in, and we've got it. Okay, now that our chart is in its own sheet, we can continue to do extra analysis. I think at this point though, I want to know which campaign type was actually most effective at engaging users. That's the part that really matters. Oh, I'm not going to get that on this sheet though. We need to go back to sheet 1 to be able to run that analysis. Remember, Copilot sees what's in front of it. So we'll run that. Let's see if we can get a bit of insight here. Analyzing the new data, including the ROI. All right, top campaign type by engaged users. Beautiful, nice and easy. Customer experience, they're the winner on this particular one. We've also got those extra pop-ups. Always remember, if you're not sure where to go next, take a look at that. What about based on revenue though? Not users engaged, but just raw revenue. Well, based on that, what are we looking at? Well, that'd be digital marketing that did the job. Okay, so I suppose effective in this way, or top performing, is going to matter a lot on your context. Always remember that. Copilot can take a guess, but if you're not 100% sure, make sure that you do actually go through and give it the context there. All right, last of all, any suggestions? If you really don't know where to go to next, Copilot is a great assistant to just try and come up with some ideas. We saw it do it before. Let's actually ask it to go about it now. There's our engagement rate. Is that interesting for us? If so, pop it in. And if not, simply ask for another suggestion. It'll happily keep going through and try and recut the data in different ways to see if we can get some new suggestions. Okay, next I want to actually go through and create an analysis report based on another document. We have some files to work with. Let's see what Copilot does when we're working from blank. Now, I don't know about you, but the sight of a blank Word document fills me with terror. So let's get Copilot to help fill in the gaps and get ourselves started. Here is a blank Word document, bog standard. We've got some initial suggestions along the top, but I actually have a prompt of my own that I want to bring in. So let's grab that now. Now, I am going to pretend to be a director of finance here. I'm going to get Copilot to essentially act as me in this context. I want to create a marketing campaign analysis report based on the file that I'm going to attach and provide data on the marketing campaigns. I've got some specific sections I want to include: exec summary, data analysis, and recommendations. And I know that that is contained within the file I'm going to attach. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can attach files. Let me just fix that. Attach files to the Copilot prompt that we're using here. First of all, you can easily go through and just grab it by hitting slash. Hitting the slash button will bring up the most recently used documents in your environment. So if you opened it frequently or recently, nice and easy, you can just pull it up from there. That's what we can see right now, and it's got a whole bunch of quick reference files. If I type in Fabricam, because I know that's what it's called, I've got my Q1 marketing campaign data there. Additionally, if I don't see it in the list, no problem. You can always browse files from the cloud on OneDrive and SharePoint and grab those as well. Okay, that's everything I need so far. Let's see if Copilot is able to just cut the data and generate at least a first pass of this information. Okay, beautiful. We've got our first bits of info coming through, and it has hit the areas I've asked it to. That's great. So we've got our recommendations section. Next above that, we've got our revenue and all those various bits and pieces. There's our data analysis. Good, that's looking good. Okay, I think I've got most of what I need, but I want to do a redraft here. I know that the person this is being presented to does not like bullet points. I know, we all have our preferences. Not a problem. Tell Copilot to use table format instead. It is happily going to reformat and refactor data in different directions if it's not suiting in its original form. So I've asked it, wherever possible, make it a table. Now, a lot of the time that's not going to make sense, and so Copilot has chosen to ignore me, which is why I said wherever possible. It's still continued to leave for some of the recommendations at the end in their normal paragraph-based format. But we've got those nice tables in the middle for budget allocation, revenue contribution, the stuff that makes sense to put together. Now, there is one last thing I'd like to do. I don't know exactly what importance means for those recommendations, so let's get Copilot to rank them. Can you rank the recommendations in order of importance, starting with the most important item? Now, I'm doing something important here. Important for important. I'm actually not defining what that means. Is it urgency? Is it finance? What's the thing that means importance to you? If you know what that is, tell Copilot. If you don't, use it as an approach. Read through its recommendations and see what it says. Now it's put them in a numbered ordered list as well. Okay, beautiful. Now we've got an easy top 10 to work with. I think at this point, I'm pretty well done. I could go back and forth between different drafts, but I'm just going to hit keep it, honestly. Easy to just jump back in if I do want to change it. But once I hit keep it, we're locked in. I can easily go through and ask for Copilot to rewrite sections of this, but it's no longer drafting the whole document. If I need a redraft, highlight the section you'd want to change and ask Copilot to change it from there. All right. Now, this last one I want to show you, it's not an ideal situation, but that's by design. I'm going to show you how Copilot can work with things like our tables and our lots of data structures when they're not ideal. What we have in front of us here in Word is essentially an Excel sheet dropped directly into a document. I'm sure we see this all the time. But for this particular purpose, it makes sense. We want this eventually to be part of a broader report. So we're eventually going to format it in this way. Not a problem. Copilot is able to read the individual pieces of information and start leveraging them regardless. We already have a summary up the top, and it's actually done a good job of finding all of the pieces of relevant information, understanding a little bit of that context of what the n- function uses. We've got a notation down the bottom that says it's per year, and we can even change that summary to try and cut this data in different ways. I want to head across to the side breakout pane though. there is a pre-built summarize this document prompt there. You can see it's very similar to the summary we have up the top. The difference is I can start asking additional questions. So if I want more details, I don't hit more detailed, I ask it. Include more details in the summary. Copilot will now re-go through the document and see if there's a better way to present more information to you. In that case, it's taking everything in that table format and it's translating it across into dot points. That alone is a really nice function. Being able to read a broader table and convert it across into points that we can pull elsewhere, that is a nice feature which I've had to leverage a bunch of times. Okay, now I want to get some analysis. Key financial challenges. One day I'll spell that. Challenges. So what are the key financial challenges we faced? Well, let's take a look at what it's saying. Big revenue fluctuations, okay. Gross margin variability, operating expenditures, negative EBITDA. Okay, so we've got some stuff to work with. You might see the little numbers going along. Those are the reference points and will tell us what cells we've actually pulled this info from. Even though we're not in an Excel sheet, we're in a Word document, we can still pull from each of the individual tables directly. All right, I think we can get one more key piece of information out of this though. Is our financial position getting better? Certainly we can ask this in a lot of different ways, but is it getting better or worse? Let's ask for a quick cut. This is not deep analysis, but these are pretty straightforward numbers. What are we looking at? Improvements and challenges over the last 5 years, and here's the details. It shows the why, where we're seeing those challenges. What are the particular challenges we've noted? Essentially all of the pieces there. So if we're looking for ways to be able to make improvements, we can get those recommendations. And last of all, maybe we want to ask what the next recommendation is. We can see it's given an easy prompt offering there. What strategies can we implement to reduce the operating expenses? And we don't have to follow this. It's not the goal here. The goal is to give you something to work with. Pull the pieces you like. Negotiating supplier contracts? Beautiful. That's a great place to start. Thinking about inventory management, looking at non-core activities and how we can outsource them. These are all core things that we look to. You don't have to use Copilot's recommendations outright, but if you're trying to find a place to begin, it's a beautiful place to go with it. Now at this point, you can hit insert or you can copy the data directly. There's a little copy button, we can use that to bring it in, and then you can do your reformatting as per usual. I'm just going to bring that in there. We'll merge that formatting through, and I can just remove any of the text that's not relevant. And once we've got that, done. I now have a set of general strategies and recommendations that we can pull through and start editing and get ourselves into our final state of the document with clear recommendations, all in Word. All right, let's bring it to a close. We explored how Microsoft 365 Copilot supports finance professionals in working more efficiently and making data-driven decisions. Whether it was analyzing revenue projections, preparing campaign reports, or summarizing multi-year financials, Copilot helped you turn raw data into actionable insights. You also saw how prompting plays a key role in unlocking Copilot's full potential, enabling you to communicate clearly, automate tasks, and collaborate seamlessly. With these skills, you're ready to boost productivity and drive financial strategy with confidence. Let Copilot handle the busy work so you can focus on what really counts. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.